On Capitol Hill yesterday, House lawmakers heard from those affected by recent mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde. Survivors, victims' families, and first responders were among those who pleaded with members of the House Oversight Committee for meaningful action on new gun laws. NBC News national correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has the emotional testimony.
In one of the most chilling first-hand accounts so far of the Uvalde massacre, 11-year-old Mia Cerrillo described the unthinkable horror the moment the gunman first approached her teacher.
She got an email, and then she went to go lock the door, and he was in the hallway, and they made eye contact. And then she went back in the room and she told us, "Go hide."
The fourth grader at Robb Elementary, in a pre-recorded message, told lawmakers how she and her classmates hid behind their teacher's desk while the gunman burst into an adjoining classroom.
There's a door between our classrooms, and he went through there and shot my teacher and told my teacher goodnight and shot her in the head. And then he shot some of my classmates and the whiteboard. When I went to the barracks, he shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and I put it all over me.
She says she smeared that blood from a fellow classmate on herself and played dead, hiding from the gunman.
What did you do then when you put the blood on yourself?
Just stay quiet, and then I got my teacher's phone and called 911.
What did you tell 911?
I told her that we need help and to send the police in our classroom.
Law enforcement would not storm that classroom and take out the gunman for more than an hour. Amid growing outrage over the actions of officers, the Justice Department announced a review of the police response to the shooting.
If there was something that you want people to know about that day and about you, right? Or things that you want different, what would it be?
To have security.
Do you feel safe at school? Why not?
Because I don't want it to happen again.
And you think it's going to happen again?
Deeply traumatized, she was not in the hearing room. Her devastated father was.
She's everything, not only for me, but her siblings and her mother. I wish something will change, not only for our kids, but every single kid in the world, because schools are not safe anymore.
Dr. Roy Guerrero, Uvalde's only pediatrician, rushed to the hospital. He'd hoped to find more survivors. They never came.
What I did find was something no prayer will ever relieve. 2 children whose bodies had been pulverized by bullets fired at them, decapitated, whose flesh had been ripped apart, that the only clue as their identities was a blood-splattered cartoon clothes still clinging to them, clinging for life and finding none.
Solace was also hard to find at this hearing. The mother of Lexi Rubio in agony. That's Lexi just hours before the shooting at the school's awards day. Kimberly Rubio had promised her daughter they'd get ice cream to celebrate after school.
I left my daughter at that school, and that decision will haunt me for the rest of my life.
House lawmakers debated new gun restrictions that many Republicans oppose.
What happened in Uvalde, Buffalo, Tulsa is as wrong could be, but the answer is not to destroy the Second Amendment.
Everything will depend on what happens with bipartisan negotiations in the Senate. We spoke with Zanetta Everhart after her testimony. Her son, Zaire Goodman, was shot at that Buffalo supermarket.
Do you think that today's testimony will change any minds?
I hope so. They're trying to figure out what they can deal with and what they can't deal with. And that, for me, that's a step forward. We said something today that struck a nerve with them.
You heard in Gabe's report the anguish from the mother of Lexi Rubio. Edgar Sandoval writes this morning in the New York Times that young Lexi Rubio had big dreams. She wanted to go to college, major in math, and attend law school. But those dreams died, of course, along with Lexi when her 4th grade classroom was turned into a war zone. Lexi and 18 of her 4th grade friends were slaughtered by a military weapon more lethal than the ones we gave our soldiers to fight in the jungles of Vietnam. but it was used in Lexi's classroom. Americans who died in that war in Vietnam left behind parents and loved ones who were desperate to believe that their child's sacrifice could make a difference. And presidents would try to assure them. Richard Nixon wrote to the Cummings, who lost their son in war, and said, "The only consolation I can offer is the profound respect of the nation he died to serve. Those who give their own lives to make the freedom of others possible live forever in honor." Barack Obama wrote to the parents of Chief Petty Officer Nicholas Hull, who lost his life in war a generation later, and called their son, quote, "a guardian of our liberty and the true embodiment of America's spirit of service to the cause greater than ourselves." Yesterday, it was Lexi's parents walking down a well-worn path already trod by parents from Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, and so many other schools. All of them through the years pleading with Congress and their local elected officials to make their child's life and death a difference, to make it a difference in the efforts to stop the bloodshed from guns that kill more children every year than the number of cops who are killed in the line of duty, or soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who are killed every year in combat. Think about that. Kimberly Rubio spoke of seeing her daughter at an award ceremony 1 hour before she died. As a parent, I just can't imagine this. Her last glance of her baby alive was when Lexi turned back and smiled after her mom promised to take her out for ice cream later that night. Quote, "And then we left. We left my daughter at that school," Kimberly remembered. "That decision will haunt me for the rest of my life," she said. Yesterday, Lexi's mom said somewhere out there's a mom listening to our testimony and thinking, "I can't even imagine their pain," not knowing that our reality will one day be hers unless we act now. You know, Abraham Lincoln also famously spoke of the war dead and made a commitment to those heroes who lost their lives fighting to stitch a war back together, a country back together at war. When Lincoln at Gettysburg ended his address by saying, "We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain." That these dead shall not die in vain. We'll be right back.